World of Matchups is back in the house, folks. It's been a minute, but here we are. All kinds of things happening out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Dexter Reed, Spencer the Wiz, Blue Milk Boys Gaming, coming to you with some summer stuff because the NFL is 24/7, 365. You already know. Today we're going to do top 5 games of the upcoming season for 2023, 2024. Spencer, what's going on, man? How are you?
Never a dull moment, but I am glad to be here. It's nice to think about football for a second and on all the other crazy stuff
Yep.
that goes on in our lives, I guess
Yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
appeal of football for all guys, I think.
That is, man, especially since the Nuggets closed out their series. It looks like the Golden Knights are going to close out their series, and we're going to be left with nothing but training camp and a whole lot of Roto World nonsense for the next couple weeks. So I looked at the entire schedule when it came out, trying to find the top 5 matchup games, must see TV for this coming season. And to me, it was 5 clear games. Everyone's list may be different. I mean, if you guys are watching and your list is different, comment and let me know. But I have these, and I have them in order of what I think the top 5 games of the season will be. Starting with number 5, October 6th, when the Cowboys head west to visit the San Francisco 49ers. Look, the Cowboys were in that game, folks. If Dak wasn't such a bum, the Cowboys had a shot at winning this game. Look, we need to stop with the Niners are invincible nonsense. The Niners have this unbelievable whole field nonsense. The Niners are a very beatable team. They're a very strong team. They're a good team. They very well could go back to the Super Bowl, but they have questions at the most important position. And Dallas was just a turnover machine in that game. That game is on Dak. And I'm not saying Dak is a bum. He's a very good average quarterback, but a better quarterback, and they're in that game. Dallas's defense is doing enough to stay in that game, and some untimely turnovers cost them that win. That's a playoff game that they would like to forget, and they get a shot to avenge that loss October 6th. And so for that reason, I have them coming in at number 5.
Do you know what week that is?
I don't know that week. I just have the dates written down. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure we could pull it up.
Yeah, just the timing of the game is kind of important. You talked about the quarterback position for the 49ers. It's still up in the air right now. I don't think it's going to get figured out by week 1, to be honest with you.
I don't think
They've
so
been
either.
non-committal to at this point as well. So I don't know. I'm not out on the 49ers. It's so weird because you almost feel like you want to, but then Brock Purdy came in last year and they still went, to a championship game, which is just so bizarre.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know. I don't know if I feel more confident with Brock Purdy or if I do with Trey Lance. I mean, another year of tape. Everything, your year 1, your breakout season is just, it's so different than all the other years of your career.
Yeah.
You saw that with like Robert Griffin. I would say even with Colin Kaepernick, where it's just like they couldn't figure him out. But it's the off season. These coaches, they don't sleep. You know what I mean? It's not like they don't go out on vacation like these other players do.
Yeah.
They're looking at you, and you kind of get a lot more figured out. So I wouldn't imagine that Brock Purdy's just going to come out there. It's just because this guy was a third string, Mr. Irrelevant pick. That's really, I mean, he went out there, he played well, and no one can take that away from him, obviously. But like I said, it doesn't get easier as the years go on. At the quarterback position, they're going to do things that they're going to notice your tendencies. It's just hard to do it in the week to week. That's how intense the football cog is. So we'll see who's even playing quarterback at that time. If it's Trey Lance, maybe they end up hooking him. I don't know. It's such a weird scenario. I could see them trading Trey Lance at some point too.
Me too. I could totally see that happening.
Yeah. So I don't know where the advantage goes to. It'll be interesting, especially interesting to see where the 49ers are at that point. I think we all know the Cowboys are probably just going to be another playoff team. Mike McCarthy's 10-win seasons that he's patented for. The problems always come from in the playoffs with Mike McCarthy. There's no doubt this guy's a great regular season coach. Kind of reminds me of Doc Rivers, is maybe the best comparison to Mike McCarthy that I can think of.
Or Andy Reid before he was.
Yeah, they have the one championship, and then they've kind of been riding that forever, and they've kind of sucked in the playoffs ever since. So
it's been horrible.
That's kind of how I feel about it.
I think an X factor here that we need to talk about is the fact that a lot of people don't realize that the Niners have Sam Darnold also in the mix.
Oh, right.
who could very well be
That tells you a lot about their
their opening day
situation.
starter. I mean, I forgot what coach it was that said this. Maybe it was Bill Parcells. I'm not sure, but he said if you have 3 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. And when you're strong everywhere else and your question mark is at the quarterback position, that's going to be very telling for San Francisco. And if you're trying to really figure this out in training camp, I don't know. I mean, you can't rest your laurels on a defense and a run game. You have to be able to have a moving quarterback that can command the offense. And I'm not so sure any of those quarterbacks can do it. Trey Lance looked horrible opening day for Chicago last year. Brock Purdy, that magic could end at any time. And we all know what Sam Darnold is. So I think that game could end up being a coin flip by October 6th. But I think it's must see TV. I'm not sure. If this is slated as one of the under the lights matchups either for any of these games, but they're important games, and I pretty much think that at least 4 out of the 5 of them should be, if not all of them are. Coming in at number 4, we have the Cincinnati Bengals going back to Buffalo to take the Buffalo Bills on November 5th. Look, Buffalo's in trouble. Okay, Buffalo is in trouble. You know what the Buffalo Bills are? The Buffalo Bills are the participation trophy team of the National Football League. Okay, you give Josh Allen the Madden cover, the guy's never won a thing. You give him a brand new stadium, the team hasn't never won a thing. I mean, they're a good team, but if there is a team whose window is closing faster than the Buffalo Bills, I'm listening. They absolutely have to get this game after Joe Burrow and company went up there in the snow in their own elements. They went into Buffalo's own elements and they absolutely steamrolled that team at home in the playoffs in front of DeMar Hamlin and all of Buffalo. This is going to be a really good game because Buffalo will be galvanized. We don't know if Buffalo will have D-Hop by then. You don't know. A lot of different things are going to need to happen. But what I will tell you is that the Cincinnati Bengals aren't going anywhere. I don't think they got better, but I don't particularly think they got much worse. And so that game, Buffalo needs to be out for blood. And you're going to see a lot of fireworks in that game. This is what I got to see. I got to see Josh Allen win an MVP. I mean, even Lamar Jackson has an MVP. For all the hype that Josh Allen gets, where are the accolades? All he's been is a turnover machine, and he's regressed in my mind. I mean, Daniel Jones had just as good of a season. Let's be honest, folks. And so you're going to see 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league going at this in Buffalo yet again. These guys want to talk about how the elements were the reason they lost that game. No, you lost that game because you basically just got your shit pushed in. That's why you lost that game. And so I'm going to be, and I think all of the world, all of NFL Twitter, the whole world is going to be looking to see what happens when the Bengals go back up there again. Could it be the type of thing where Joe Burrow now is just counting wins off Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen? Remains to be seen. Your thoughts?
What's the date of this game? What'd you say?
That's November 5th.
Okay, so I was just trying to think of like if weather is going to be a factor. November is pretty early, so
it's still
I'm not.
It's still Buffalo.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say it's kind of hard to tell. Like, if it was closer towards the end of November, I'd start to think it'd be interesting to see if this was another weather game. But an interesting piece of this is that the NFL doesn't care. Like they'll put Joe Burrow in like any perilous situation, like in his schedule, and he's like just starting out. It's so easy to forget that. You act like Joe Burrow's like a 10-year vet,
He's a 4-year starter.
Yeah.
He's a 4-year starter. But
they'll send him out to Kansas City. They'll send him out to Buffalo after these playoff games. But
he's a 4-year starter. But Joe Burrow
that just shows he's Joe Cool, man.
He's him. You see what I'm saying? He's him.
It's crazy.
Joe Burrow is him. And when you're him, there's only a couple players in the league who are him. Joe Burrow is one of them. So the elements don't matter. The dates don't matter. The flexing, the lack of rest, it don't matter. The guy is talented with the most talented wide receiver core in the league. And when you have that, they're sending you to Siberia to play. And so, boy, I may take the under on the Buffalo Bills win-loss this year.
Really? Probably get a good plus on that. No kidding.
I might. I'm not sold on them.
You have Miami Dolphins, who got significantly better.
So did the Jets.
The Jets. How much money could you get on the Buffalo Bills to not make the playoffs. I bet you can get I bet you the
You,
plus is crazy on that.
you make good
If
money
you
on that.
if you start adding up the wins and losses in these divisions, they didn't look good against Miami. Not one single game that last year.
No, they didn't. And let's be honest, like Von Mill is 1 year older, coming off a major reconstruction injury. I mean, like they're they're really like this is it.
There's holes in it too. Like guys are starting to get a little chippy against each other in the
This
locker
is it.
room.
That's what I'm saying. Like this is it. Stephon Diggs will
I
leave
think the
that
Madden
team.
cover is the worst thing you could have ever done for this team. I
This
know
is
that's
what I'm
stupid. It doesn't
saying,
really matter, but it's just saying it doesn't help the cause. You know what I mean?
dude.
It just doesn't
Dude,
look good.
they are the participation trophy team of the National Football League, and I'll never back off that until I see this team win a significant game somewhere. Not a regular season game. They win regular season games, but a significant game until I see Josh Allen beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, beat Joe Shiesty in the playoffs. I don't want to hear another word. Next, number 3. Boy, this game is going to be a good one. The San Francisco 49ers travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles December 3rd. You know this game is going to be chippy because a lot of San Francisco Niner fans believe that if they would have had their quarterback situation together, they would have beaten the Eagles. I'm one of them. I'm one of them. I'm one of those people. Before Kansas City beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, the Niners were the best competition that the Eagles had faced all year. And they won the game, but they didn't look good doing it. And they won the game with Christian McCaffrey at quarterback for half the entire game. If the Niners could just ever, you know what the Niners should have did? The Niners should have found a way to get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
You know that the Niners have to get their quarterback situation together. Now I know that Philadelphia is probably the most complete team on paper. December in Philadelphia will not be Las Vegas in June. There's a lot of different things that are going to be working against San Francisco, them flying across the country. Who knows by that time what injuries will look like? Will Deebo Samuel bounce back? There's a lot of question marks. But this is going to be a hotly contested game. And I think that if the Niners have any shot of going back to a Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl, this is a game that they have to win. This will be an energy game for them. It will recharge that Super Bowl battery for them and get them on their way. I mean, this is in December. Playoffs are only a month away. That will be a game that they have to get. And we don't know who the quarterback will be, but we know what Philadelphia is going to bring. Philadelphia is out for blood. They're home. Jalen Hurts has been paid. Nolan Smith has been signed. I mean, Jalen Carter has been signed. They murdered the draft. I mean, this team is out for blood. They know they let one get away in the Super Bowl, and their window is wide open, and the Niners' window could be closing, but it's going to be fireworks all the same.
Yeah, this is the kind of game you wish you had Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback. He's not the
Jimmy
most exciting
Garoppolo's a bum.
Yeah, but come on, how many playoff games has this guy won? The game against Green Bay, I just can't picture in my mind Trey Lance or Brock Purdy winning that game in Green Bay. And that's the kind of quarterback that Jimmy Garoppolo is. Not going to win you a game, but in a big moment, he's going to play exactly the same. And I think that's the kind of performance I think you look for in this Philadelphia game. But he's not there anymore. But
his career ended when he lost to Kansas City.
I don't know about that one. We'll see. I'm a big bet for Jimmy G to win MVP this year.
I saw him
Rich
the other
Gannon
day.
2.0.
He's not. I don't know. I saw him the other day at my job. He was dining with a bunch of his buddies, and I'm like, you play football? I mean, he's not that big. I mean, the guy's got gray hair. I mean, he looks old to me. He's not super mobile. He's on the tail end of his career. I don't know, but he is a very high level game manager, and you put him surrounding that talent on the Niners. I see what you're saying. All things considered, though, this is a game that if the Niners are going to be serious about winning anything, that they have to win, and it's going to be a tough ask.
I say Trey Lance is in this game. I think that the management and coaching aren't eye to eye. Trey Lance goes out. You can push that conversation off to the side for a really long time, almost until week 1.
You can.
I do not think Kyle Shanahan ever wanted to draft Trey Lance. I don't think he ever wanted them to trade up and get him. I really, really don't think so. And it just seems that way. It just seems like there's just any moment they can that they want to put somebody else up there and just see what happens. And I just think I don't know. I've heard good things about him, but it's training camp. Training camp's the worst when it comes to information on any football player in the league. Every guy looks good in training camp, right? And
Yeah,
you rarely hear anything bad, about these
it's
kinds of
true.
guys.
No, it's
But
true.
I just think that they're going to say, all right, well, this guy is our 7th-round pick at the very end, and this is the guy who we traded up to get. That's the guy who's going in. And I think that's what they're going to tell Kyle Shanahan. And we'll see if it works out. I mean, I don't think that they'll be afraid to bench him, but we'll see how long the leash is for Trey Lance. He kind of got off on the wrong foot, right? Because he did play terrible in that Chicago game, but it was a weird rain game, right? One of those element games that maybe not the first game you want to come back from. Kind of back from. I mean, he played a couple snaps that first season, but there's like, here's the first game you're going to have on your own. And it's kind of like a weird game, not one that you'd want to play, not a sunny afternoon game like most football games are played. So we'll see. I mean, it's not a good spot for the kid going into Philadelphia in December, but that's why they drafted him. I mean, that's why you draft these guys. I say all these things and trying to convince myself and make all these excuses, but then you think about like Joe Burrow and stuff. This guy goes into Kansas City sometimes and beats Patrick Mahomes in really important games. So like that's what you need out of your second overall, or I don't remember who it was, first overall, second overall player. That's just kind of how it works in the NFL. If you're a quarterback and you're drafting the top 5, you're expected to go in year 1, year 2, and win these games. That's just the kind of pressure that they put on these kids. And like I said, I do think they're going to give Trey Lance the nod early on in the season, and I could see them going at least 5 games as a leash for him.
Well, they're going to have to. They put too much capital in the kid.
Yeah.
Now you got to see what he can do, but at the same time, when you're going in and bringing a guy like Sam Darnold as well, what does that tell you?
I don't know.
It's an open competition.
It's a mess, to be honest.
It's a mess, dude. If you're bringing in Sam Darnold to your team and you already have 2 quarterbacks, that doesn't instill a whole lot of confidence to me in your quarterback room.
That's a questionable move. The more I think about it, bringing in Sam Darnold, that either means Trey Lance is so injured that he didn't have a chance. Brock Purdy, we know, is kind of like iffy for the beginning of the season, which makes sense. His elbow fell apart in a playoff game. That tells me that they don't feel confident about Trey Lance. You don't bring in a guy like you could bring in any number of like random veterans to like fill in that spot, if you really want to have like an emergency plan for Trey Lance. But Sam Darnold was like starting last year and he looked kind of good at the end of the season, especially when Carolina was kind of making their run. That's like a guy you bring in for competition, not a guy who bring in for backup.
Dude, Sam Darnold is a practice squad player. At this point of his career, he's a practice squad player. He's not a starting NFL quarterback. The guy's been given more chances than any other quarterback who's fighting for a job right now. Now, granted, the Jets gave him a raw deal. He gets hurt in Carolina multiple times, so he's never really been on a good team. So if you surround him with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, I mean, they got Christian McCaffrey, they got talent on both sides of the ball. They're very close to being one of the most complete teams in the National Football League. You might be able to hide some of his deficiencies, kind of like they did with Jimmy G. But boy, to me, it's a big red flag when you have 3 quarterbacks and you don't know who the starting quarterback is.
There's no idea. They haven't said anything about it.
I mean, come on, man. I got 99 problems and that's not one of them. That should not be one of them at this stage of the game. I know it's only June, but that ball is getting kicked in less than 90 days. Number 2, this game is going to be fantastic. My God. The Cincinnati Bengals travel to Arrowhead Stadium to face the Kansas City Chiefs. New Year's Eve. Oh
this is like becoming like Thanksgiving almost. You know what I mean? Like where there's like the Lions play every Thanksgiving. It almost feels like Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes have to play
right now, it's the best rivalry in all of football. Is Mahomes?
It's like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady is what it reminds me of.
And that's what the NFL is pushing.
That's what they want.
That's what they want. Now I question the date because there's only one more game to play after this, and let's say either of these teams have a 1 seed locked up and they don't want to get any guys hurt. They might be resting players. You might not get a full clip from either team, but it could also be, and this is what the NFL is rolling the dice on, that they're both fighting and jockeying for the 1, and they're going to come with everything they have. And if that's the case, the fireworks are going to start long before the ball drops, because Kansas City knows that in order to continue to go to the Super Bowl, it helps them a lot having the home field advantage. I mean, 5 straight AFC championships.
Huge.
Arrowhead is lit at any point in the postseason, you're going to have to play your best game or have them beat themselves to win in Kansas City. And so the NFL is keeping their fingers crossed, that happens.
They do that a
And
lot, the NFL. That's kind of like how their game plan.
well, it's
Especially like you
it's
look at Thursday Night Football last year,
mhm.
it's a whole lot of this.
Yeah, it's very much agenda driven. I mean, if you look
Yeah.
at the schedule,
Yeah.
if you look past what you see on the schedule and look at the teams and how it's constructed, who they play the week before, who they play
Yeah.
the week after, the buys, the Thursday night game, it's all set up for the top two teams to play each other. And sometimes one of those teams will have an advantage like home field, but then the other team may have an advantage at like 10 days rest. You see it. It's all over the schedule. The schedule makers are not dummies. They're not sitting down and making the schedule. They're talking to Roger Goodell. Then they're
Yeah.
sitting down and making the schedule. And so you got Joe Shiesty versus the GOAT currently. Patrick Mahomes is going to probably be, front runner for MVP yet again, despite who's surrounding him. And Joe Burrow's coming back to try to avenge that loss. And I think it's going to be probably, if not the best game of the year, the second best game of the year.
Yeah, this game's really interesting because it just feels like the Bengals should have won the Super Bowl last year, in my opinion. But they lost that game themselves going into Kansas City. It was almost like written, like they kind of wrote it themselves, like the way that they carried themselves, the way the
They're
city carried it.
undisciplined.
Yeah, they could have. I think they were the most talented team last year, and I think there's no way they should have lost.
Let's say,
And they
for
barely
instance,
lost that Kansas City game. It was because of their arrogance and just all of that.
Let's say, for instance, the mayor shuts up. Let's say, for instance, they carry themselves the way the Chiefs did during that week. Humble, business, workmanlike, none of this chip on our shoulder nonsense. None of this, we're the big bad bullies. We beat you 3 straight times. None of that. Just a professional football team that was going into Kansas City on a mission. They would have won that game.
I think they would have beat the Eagles too.
I think so too.
Yeah.
In my mind, these things matter. Now I get that that's the identity of the team. Coach is very, they got a lot of moxie. You know what I mean? They got a lot of mojo that way. And so that's their personality. They take it on. They're brash. They were really feeling themselves after beating, in my mind, a fraudulent Buffalo team. And they just thought that their Super Bowl was going to be handed to them.
Yeah,
but what you people out there need to understand and really stop acting like this is not factual information is that Patrick Mahomes is a football god. Period. He is Tom Brady right now. Okay? And so they're going to get calls in their building. And even if they don't get calls, you saw what the guy did on one leg. He is an absolute warrior. And he is hard to kill. And I think that all of that during the build-up week stuff that they were putting out there, I think you got the best of him. And you saw how Kansas City said nothing. They went about their business, and then they unleashed fury on Sunday. It all came out, and it won them that game in front of their fans. And so I think that we're not going to see the end of this rivalry anytime soon.
No.
This is the new Manning Brady. And to have it on New Year's Eve, I think the NFL is hoping that the chips fall the way it should for ratings and making sure everyone plays and all that, which they're going to do everything in their power to make sure it happens. You know what I mean? If there's like a ball, if there's a bounce that goes against the Chiefs to win a regular season game so they don't wrap up the 1 seed, it's going to go against them because that's what they want. It's just that's the NFL as we know it. We know it's crooked. We know it's woke. We know Roger Goodell's a clown, and the owners love him because he lines their pockets. So they're going to continue. They're going to vote him in until he's dead. Period. End of statement. And the number one game of the year is going to be October 20th. I'm trying to go to this game. This is a game I want to go to. I'm probably going to treat myself for my birthday and go when the Philadelphia Eagles go to Kansas City for the Super Bowl rematch. This is going to be a great game. This is the one game I think that if the Chiefs are going to lose at home this year, it could be this game simply because Philadelphia is absolutely loaded. They're the most complete team in the National Football League. I do think Kansas City will still pull this game out, but one mistake will cost you the game on either side. Period. End of statement. I think the Chiefs will be better defensively. I think the Eagles will definitely be better defensively. They're going to find a way to get past the offensive line. I think the bookends for Kansas City will be definitely tested in this game because they're both brand new, and Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor, they two new guys. The guard play and the center play will be what it was in the Super Bowl, but they're going to test the ends. And I think that you're going to continue to see a lot of 4th and 1 push the pile from the Eagles because the Chiefs just couldn't stop it. I think Mahomes is going to have to be Superman. They're going to give him a lot of different looks. Now, the Eagles, they're a lot different too. Gardner Johnson is gone. There's a couple of guys who have moved on. They've lost some key pieces, but they're a Super Bowl contender. And they know in order to win the Super Bowl, this is a team they got to go through. And this could very well be a team they see again. They could play them again in the Super Bowl. I could see that easily happening. The NFC is garbage. The Eagles are the best team. They're probably going to go back. I mean, and without the Niners knowing what's happening in that quarterback room right now, this is the Eagles' thing to lose. And the Chiefs are going to have to again have to beat up on all these really solid AFC teams. I mean, even Baltimore's in the hunt right now. Let's be honest. The OC in Baltimore is talking about how they're going to start throwing the ball all over the place because they finally gave Lamar some help. If that works, Baltimore's in it. Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, even LA, man. Same thing. The new coordinator's talking about working it towards Justin Herbert's strengths. Patrick Mahomes is going to have his hands full this year, while the Eagles are just going to kind of coast, maybe, unless they fall apart and have a Super Bowl hangover. But I think that this is going to be the most entertaining game of the year. I like whatever the over is in this game. I like it.
Yeah, you can put any number down.
I don't care what it is.
Yeah, this is interesting. And the one thing about this is, I guess it's almost like the Buffalo Bills, even though the Buffalo Bills didn't even make the Super Bowl. It was that year after that they had, lost to the Chiefs in that like dramatic fashion, right? However, like 19 seconds or whatever it was. And I think that they were so dead focused on getting back to that game with the Chiefs because they almost knew the Chiefs would be there that they forgot about the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They were so dead set on just that game. Like they almost lost to the Dolphins. And then, of course, the Bengals came in and just stomped on them. I don't think that has anything to do with the roster of their team. I think their team was just as good as it was against that year against the Chiefs, but they just got so close-minded. And it's like, okay, once we get there, then we can start. It's like that. You can't really have that attitude. Like the reality for the Eagles, at least to me, is they got younger and better from going to the Super Bowl and being on the verge of winning a Super Bowl game.
They got better.
There's no doubt to me that they're a team that could win the Super Bowl just like they could last year.
Yeah.
But it depends. Are they going to think, okay, let's just meet. Let's get back to the Super Bowl game against the Chiefs and see what happens. Because they could lose along the way against a team that is worse than them easily. And that's just how that's how close the margins in football are.
Mm-hmm.
And something that a lot of people just throw under. It's like, yeah, are the Eagles the best team in the NFC? I think yes, by a very far margin. But any given Sunday, that's just kind of how it is. And your attitude, the way that you conduct yourself, we'll see. Maybe the Eagles come in super concentrated and they just run the table. I think that could easily happen, but that's just prediction, right? We make a lot of predictions in the NFL season, and then once the NFL season kicks off week 1, we had all these ideas about the Packers last year going to the Super Bowl, and they got blown out in week 1.
Not me.
Terrible.
I thought the Packers were going to win 6 games last year. Packers are going to win 6 games this year. But I mean, I do hear what you're saying. I think something to really be hyper focused about if you're an Eagles fan is that you're not playing garbage competition all year now. You know what I mean? You're not playing a last place schedule. You're playing a good schedule this year. And last year they ran a table because all the chips fell right in their lap with bum teams or injury teams at the right times. Everything. It was perfect for them except the ending. I mean, the Chiefs could have easily lost all 3 Super Bowls they've been in. You know what I mean? You're not up. You're not down 10 with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter and winning very many games. You're not down 10 at halftime of a Super Bowl and winning game. It's just not happening. But it's the Mahomes factor. It's the Mahomes factor, man. And so because of that, I'm going to never bet against Mahomes. I'm never betting against. I'm not. There's going to be games that the Chiefs lose. Yes. But it's not going to be because of Patrick Mahomes. Every now and then he'll throw an untimely pick. When Buffalo beat them in their building last year, it was a bad pick. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. But 99 out of 100 times, I'm betting everything. I'm betting my life on Patrick Mahomes. I'll bet my life. I'll bet my wife's wedding ring on Patrick Mahomes. Because he comes through. Yeah. Down 10, down 17, down 24. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We haven't even seen this guy play on the road yet. And I think the Chiefs play better on the road. My God, imagine him having to go to Cincinnati, having to go to Buffalo. I'd be just as confident. I'd be just as confident. To me, it does not matter. As long as Andy Reid is there, Patrick Mahomes is there, and Travis Kelce is there, I'm never going to bet against them. And I like them to win this game versus the Eagles. I do think it will be close yet again. I can see the Chiefs winning a 1-point game. The elements will be there. You know what I mean? It'll be a little colder in November. Cold Sunday, Monday. That's a Monday night game. Monday night football. Winds a little swirling at Arrowhead. A lot of different things can happen. But we know that the Eagles are going to come to play. Injuries for these teams are going to be something that we really have to monitor all year long. For Buffalo, for Kansas City, for the Eagles, for the Ravens, for the Niners, I think there's only maybe 7 teams that legit have a shot to win the Super Bowl. Legit.
It's about what it is every year.
7.
Yeah.
And on those 7 teams, you really have to watch the top 3 players. Like if anything happens to Kelce, Mahomes, or Chris Jones, the Chiefs cannot win a Super Bowl. They have to have all 3. You know what I mean? Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, same thing. Joe Shiesty, you know what I mean? Like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, same thing. The stars have to align for these teams. Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, same thing. If any of those guys come in limping, whoever is limping is losing. You know, it's just going to be how it is under the lights. And Mahomes under the lights is as money as anything. The sun coming up every day. That's like the guy plays his best. He plays his best football. And Jalen Hurts has been coming on too. He's been coming on strong. He'll have a case of why he should have been at the MVP. This is the game of the year. This will be the biggest game of the regular season. I don't think it'll be close. And I can't see a list that doesn't have anyone's top 5 looking different than what I've got. But
yeah.
But go through it, guys. You know what I mean? Go through it. See what you think, see what might be better, let us know what you think might be better and why. I'm open, I'm all ears. But I dissected this and I was like, these are the top 5 games of the year. And I don't think it's particularly even close. Parting shots.
This is going to be a really good NFL regular season. It's kind of weird to mention it after all this time, but the pandemic year and the years kind of following that just still felt weird, even when we were like kind of fully out of it. And now it just kind of feels like regular football. The schedule's looking good and strong. Those 5 games are really, really strong. I don't know if I felt as passionate about these games as I did last year. And now I kind of feels like I'm ready to watch some football again on Sunday. I'm a teacher now, so the school year feels regular to me. Everything feels very normal, very exciting. So yeah. I can't wait to see these games.
Yeah, things are definitely falling into place. This is definitely like one of the best sports years of my entire life, especially if the Golden Knights pull this out tonight and win. I'll see. Yeah, I'm going to go out there today. I've had I'll have 2 championships in the same year, which some people don't get one.
In their lifetime.
I mean, yeah. I feel like I've earned it. I feel like I've earned it, man. I've gone through a lot as a Chief fan in my life, as a sports fan, period. So I'm in my swoon season right now. But yeah, I do agree. I think the NFL, this is probably going to be the best NFL year I've ever seen. I'm not a big fan of the whole rule change, with kickoffs, but I can live
That'll
with
be gone next year, man.
It'll be gone next year.
Lame, but it is what it is.
It's one of those things that
no one gets up for the kickoff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
no one cares. I mean, the owners are probably like, Roger, you want in, we want this. Some nonsense happened. There's always some nonsense. But the bottom line is that
it's going to be football.
This is going to be such a lit year. This is going to be such a lit year for fantasy football. The NFL crop of rookies are going to be unbelievable. I can't wait to see like what Bijan Robinson does. I can't wait to see like Quentin Johnson does. I mean, they're studs all over the field. There's a lot of new quarterbacks. That C.J. Stroud is going to. Bryce Robinson get killed? Will Tua bounce back? Like there are.
Yeah.
Like, we could do like a top 50 questions for going into the NFL season that you want to see.
It feels like this year is building on the last year. I feel like the years before this, nothing built upon each other. And now finally we're starting to build upon the next season.
It's building. Will the Lions, grow and take that next step? Will the Packers regress? Will the Cowboys eventually get out of their own way? I mean, there's so many question marks about what this season could be. And I just can't wait. I mean, I bought the package. That's all you need to know, guys.
Oh, the YouTube TV
That's
package?
all you need to know, Zach.
Wow.
My cheap ass got tired of going out and tired of Dofu Sports and jailbreak iPads to watch. I bought the package. I bought the
Well, the
package.
good thing is that YouTube does have the best video streaming AI in the world. Like
Yeah.
their website, the way you're going to watch football is going to be the best streaming, opportunity. Like you can get rid of Sunday Ticket. Like that app was garbage, and
Yeah.
the NFL app is a pile of
It's a
garbage.
pile of
It's
garbage.
so bad.
I bought it in the red
YouTube
zone.
is not bad.
They gave me $100 off, so I bought it. I just like coming home. You know what I mean? It's like I'm getting to a point where like I'm so crazy about watching football that if I don't watch it with my own fans, that it's not safe for me to go out. You know what I mean? It's just my
girlfriend was watching me watch the Golden Knights game, and I get my temper flares. Like I get really into the game. I'm like, if you think this is intense, wait till a Raiders game comes on because it's a different level.
Yeah, I watch Raiders Chiefs at home, man. Like I watch the games at home. It's just safer. You know what? It's cheaper every time you.
It is way cheaper.
It's $100. I'd rather just put the money into the YouTube and then kick it at home and have people over. It's just safer. So that's the wave of the future. That's the wave of the future for the Reed household, man. And that's probably how it's going to be. We may go watch 1 or 2 games at this, because the Chiefs got a couple of Chiefs bar here. But like being at home is kind of nice. You turn it on, you kick it on your couch. And I'm a firm believer that the best way to watch the NFL, the best way to watch your team every single week is at home. Too many crazy people out here holding guns, man.
For real,
I ain't getting shot.
Yeah, we had our weekly shooting this week already.
Yeah, it's just crazy out there.
It's crazy.
Dexter Reed, World of Matchup, Spencer Lewis, Blue Milk Boys Gaming, guys. If you got a different list posted, I'd like to hear about it. But I think that's going to be the top 5 games. More content's coming. Summer don't matter.
Yeah,
football's 24/7, 365. Stay tuned for more. We're out.